Hello, how are you? Happy Monday from my heart to yours, from the French Riviera to wherever you are in the world. I wish you a happy Monday. And believe it or not, it's snowing here. I'm in a kind of weird setup, so I can't even move the camera to show you that we've literally got snow accumulation on the ground. Can you believe it? Moved to the French Riviera for the sun, and here we are with snow. So what's up, good people? I hope that you are already enjoying your day. Hello, Sarah Brandis in London. Hello, Rur Chris. Great to have you with us. And hey, Rob from Annapolis. It's good to see you as well. I don't know how cold it is where you are, but it's actually freezing here. We've actually got snow. It's been snowing all morning. Hey, and what's up, Trevor? I know you don't have snow out there in California, so no drama on your end, but straight up, I've been in creation mode, fortunately, because here on a Monday, this is my creativity day. So I get to kind of just be in my cocoon. What's up? Sarah from India, how lovely. And Ida Rabai, and yes, you got snow in the Grand Canyon. Wow, Rob, okay. So I'm so happy that you all are here because today I want to talk to you about a subject very near and dear to my heart. And actually, Rob, this will probably make you laugh if you even remember it. So Rob and I did a couple of events back in the DC area. God, I think it was probably 15 years ago. And Rob, you made fun of me. You made fun of me because of my 5-step plan for being productive. But I want to talk about the challenges that come up for us when we're really dedicated to a mission or a cause or a business, and even sometimes our families, because we put ourselves at risk of burnout. Now, I specialize in entrepreneurial burnout, but I got my own taste of really coming real close to burnout when I started taking care of my mother who has Alzheimer's disease. And then a couple of other situations came up where I was really burning the candle at both ends, as we say, and almost had a complete meltdown. So I want to talk about this because there have been a few near and dear people to my heart who I have been working with on a private masterclass program called Diamond Life Design. And one of the things that came up was this idea of our energy and how do we honor and respect our bodies and our energetic flow. And so I want to talk to you about the 3 F's. Some of you might know my other thing, my 5 F's. I was just talking to Helena Phillipson about those today. But I really want to talk to you about how we rebound or prevent burnout and breakdowns. And Margareta, you said you had a burnout at age 25 and it was the best meltdown that you had. Wow. And Mr. Lawson from Norway, hello. Good to see you. So, and I can't believe it's snowing for you too in Milan. Just makes me want to shake. Oh, hey, Karen. It's so good to see you here live as well. So, yeah, Trevor, you know the 5 F's, but today I want to talk to you about the 3 F's. Because one of the things that came up, and Trevor, you were on this, with us for this Diamond Life Design call. Diamond Life Design, for those of you who haven't heard me talk about it, is a framework for how you can design an epic life. The Diamond Framework was created by a friend of mine, Derry Llewellyn-Davies. Some of you may have seen me interview him. I've done that several times. And he's the guy who has his spiritual awakenings out in nature. He's climbed Everest and I think 6 of the 7 peaks on the 7 continents. Anyway, so many of us have been asked, how is it that you can do so much, running these companies, speaking on stages around the world. I'm a parent, a single parent to an 11-year-old. Derry's got 3 beautiful girls of his own. And so the question always comes up, how do you do it all? It looks like you must be living two lives at once, and yet you're still full of energy and generally not at risk of a burnout or breakdown. And so one of the things about Diamond Life Design is the whole framework is really designed to help you get full clarity and alignment on what matters to you most so that you can live a life of no regrets. And for me personally, it came up completely different than how it came up for Derry. Derry was mainly influenced by his father, who on his deathbed, his father told him, son, he knew he was dying. He says, I'm dying with a lot of regrets about not starting the business and running the business that he really wanted and so many other things. And that impacted Derry so much that he decided to create an epic global grand slam adventure. Like literally he's mapped out all these things he wanted to achieve, and he's done literally, I think 99% of them. And then in my case, my mother, who, as I mentioned, has Alzheimer's, and Rob, you've met her back in the DC area. My mom was this 5'2" on a good day, feisty little West Indian woman. She was a doctor. She traveled the world, and she really was living life on her own terms and very opinionated. Rob, don't say anything. No, my mom is very opinionated, but in her 70s, she started to exhibit signs of memory and, cognitive decline. And eventually it's really looking like Alzheimer's dementia. And what was interesting over the last, I'd say, 5 years is sitting down with my mom. I shared with her my first TEDx. So that TED talk that I did in Monte Carlo about become who you are, I shared that with her. And this was at a time when her memory was, pretty there, at least for short periods of time. And the one thing she said to me was, wow, I can tell you are really, you're living your purpose. She didn't use that word, but she was like, yeah. And she said, you know what? With all that I've done in this life, I really feel like I can say that I've done my master's work. And she said, if I were to cock up my toes, as she says, for dying, she says, when I cock up my toes and I meet my maker, I believe he's going to say, job well done. And that really, really impacted me because, sorry, I didn't even mean to get emotional today, but to know that she had lived full out, she had done things that her family said she couldn't or shouldn't, like going to nursing school and later becoming a doctor, moving to the United States. She raised 3 of us as a single mom, and to hear her say that she felt fulfilled, having lived her purpose, having done her master's work, it just gave me a sense of just an overwhelming sense of peace and gratitude. Because as her memory is slipping and she's losing some of those memories, it was so beautiful to just hear her say, I'm fulfilled. I've lived my life my way. And it really stuck with me because one of the things that I don't deal with very well is regret. I just don't like the feeling of regret. And right about 2009, or just before I moved here to France, I started looking at a particular coaching method that really helps you get super clear on, what's holding you back. And with me, with my background in anti-aging medicine and neuroscience and positive psychology and working in the Washington, D.C. area, I had a lot of clients who had burnout. Like they got so caught up in the achievement or the, acquisitions and the accolades that they burned themselves out. And so during this Diamond Life Design call that we were talking about last week, the concept came up, what about the busyness that we get ourselves into? Like the feeling that I have to do this, the shoulds. And it's this should energy, and I've said this before, if you look at the word should, it's the root of the word shoulders. And if you're shoulding on yourself, it's you're getting weighed down by all of these expectations, these attachments, these things that we put on ourselves. And in our case, as entrepreneurs, for some of us who are parents, we carry a lot of shoulds. And the challenge is sometimes that should that's on your back shouldn't be there. And so part of what we're doing is really helping people with this Diamond Life Design framework to get crystal clear on what do you want to feel in your daily life, as well as the aspirational feelings that you really want to experience as a result of pursuing and achieving your long-range goals. So it's not about these goals, although you will write down what your goals are. It's not about this attainment. It's about the experience. What is the experience of your life? And one of the things that was been helpful is working with Yvette Taylor. So how many of you took part in Yvette Taylor's 5 Days to Flow? She is the one who has created something called the Energy Alignment Method, which is it's like an energy psychology tool, kind of like I don't know, the law of attraction meets Chinese medicine meets neuroscience meets positive psychology. So it's more of the real science-based use of tuning into your energy. And one of the things that she talked about recently was this emotional energy scale. And if any of you have gotten my book, I Love You Me, with Yvette's permission, I have reprinted the emotional energy scale so that you can really get a sense of where you want to be and how you can move yourself up to those highest feelings, those emotions that you want to feel in life. So I want to hear from you. What are the kinds of emotions or feelings that you really, really, really want to feel? Like if you were able to wave a magic wand and put yourself in that ideal state where you're doing what you want with the people that you want, with the results that you want, how does that feel to you? Type that in while I look at some of your comments. So I love this. Passion, 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 says Rob. Yes, my mom is amazing. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, Alzheimer's is cray. Vaughn, it's good to have you back. Good to have you back. You said you leave with your tank on empty. You give it all, leave that legacy. Love it. So I agree with you, Vaughn. I do believe that we should fully live, because we don't know when we might check out of this place, right? But what I really want to get to when we get to these 3 F's on how to prevent burnout or to rebound, we really need to learn to honor and respect the body. So I'm going to get into that. Margareta says, woohoo, huge shout out to my mom. I will tell her you said so. And yes, it is her legacy. She's really left a legacy. And yeah, Vaughn, this balance and refueling are extremely important. And so what I really want us to think about is, if in the idea of balance, Vaughn, or this idea about refueling, when you're fully balanced and you're fully refueled, what are the emotions or the feelings that you feel? I want you guys to type those in. So for Vaughn, fun, accomplishment, yes. Trevor says excitement, appreciating, compassion, yes. So when you really think about the ideal energy that you want, what came up on our masterclass was this idea of flow. Now, a lot of us in this whole movement about energy psychology and quantum physics, we talk a lot about flow. And Vaughn, I know you're into sports even more. So you heard, athletes who talk about being in the zone, where they sort of lose sense of their self, and they're so one with the game or whatever they're doing that they feel that sense of flow. They're in the zone. Musicians call it being in the pocket, where you're in this vibe with the other musicians and the music, and it's just flowing. And so the reason that flow is so important to me personally is because I like to operate with ease. I noticed in my own life that when I go against the grain, when I'm fighting too much or resisting too much or pushing too much, it creates strain. It creates mental strain, physical strain. I get sort of tense, and then that energy affects my body. It affects my thought processes. It affects my sleep, and it dang sure affects my relationships. I mean, my daughter will tell you, she can pick up on all those energy shifts. And so for me, I want to feel ease and grace and flow. Now, something else that came up when people were asking me about this, how do I quote unquote do it all? Because this book, The Orgasm Prescription for Women, is the biggest book to date that I've written. And it came like that. It was literally a flow. Now, it was something I had been bubbling on and thinking about for years, but I wasn't ready to write it. When that inspiration came up, it came and it was just flowing. 80,000 words, or 82,000. It's the biggest book I've written. And then the same thing happened with I Love You Me. I had the idea, the concept had been there, it had been bubbling, but I wasn't quite ready. Then boom, when I said yes and I surrendered and I got into a state where I could allow that energy to flow, it came in record time. Last year, it wasn't even on my radar to produce that book. And there it is. So, Rob, you say you're so waiting for Drea also. You mean Drea, the singer? Oh, God. There's definitely something there. I don't even want to talk about that part of it. But, so, oh my goodness. It's so funny when you surrender to the universe, how every little situation can bring you insight. So yes, Sarah, you want to feel energy. Adrenaline, says Vaughn. So I love this idea of energy and adrenaline, because the problem is that if we get ourselves too geared up or too dependent on that adrenaline energy, then we risk becoming depleted. So here's what I mean. We know that the adrenals that sit on top of our kidneys, the adrenals are what make that adrenaline, okay? That's that fuel that can just fire us up to go the extra mile in sports or to rescue someone. But the adrenaline comes with a price, because normally we get this burst of stress hormones, so adrenaline and norepinephrine and cortisol. Like the brain senses there is a need or a threat. And it tells, this hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis, the HPA axis, says, look, there's a threat or there's a need here, and our survival is depending upon it. And so you get this little burst of adrenaline, and you can get stuff done. How many of you out there are like procrastinators? Like you need this pressure grinding on you to get stuff done. Well, that word is what came up during this call, this Diamond Life thing. And it was our dear friend, Dr. Juicy Jill Stocker, the hormone doctor out in Hollywood. And she was talking about how when she's really like doing her thing, whether that's her morning routine with the yoga, the meditation, the reflection, she can get into a really good space. And when she's sitting down with her clients, she's fully present and she can just give. She can just pour into them. But if she spends her day on these little draining tasks, she finds that her energy is spent. And she was like, I just have to grind it out. And Derry was like, wait, stop. Just the word grind, and a lot of people, especially in the American kind of paradigm, like to say, oh, I'm just grinding it out. I got to hustle, got to stay on my grind, and that American mentality was actually brought up by another wonderful friend and colleague, the beautiful Helena Goldstein. And she posted a Facebook Live. I don't even know when she did it or if it was a live video or not, but I just caught it today. And she was talking about how when she was working for an American company, Now, she lives in Denmark, originally from Poland, and she said that when she was working for this American company, there was this sort of drive to overwork. And she sort of noticed that she took on that energy. It wasn't her own. It wasn't her own paradigm. And so what I'm saying is we need to kind of take a step back and be really, really clear about what's driving us and who that stuff belongs to. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what you were talking about here. It has to happen without overdoing. Got it, Vaughn. And Margareta says it's the fight or flight mechanism, can be highly addictive. It can be. For those of us who like that adrenaline rush or that sense of accomplishment, because if your adrenaline kicks in because let's say you've been procrastinating, I'm not going to say you've done this. I will say when I have procrastinated about getting something done, I don't know for you guys, how do you know when you're in procrastination mode? For me, if I find myself cleaning the kitchen and like not just tidying up, but like I'm cleaning and I'm shining and I'm in procrastination mode. And if I break out the vacuum and it's not like my day for cleaning, I know I'm procrastinating. It's like there's stuff I need to do, but I'm like, oh, but that dirt on the floor. No, that can't. So when we procrastinate, all right, again, when I procrastinate and I find myself doing all these other little things because I'm avoiding some task, then by the time that task has to be done, that's when the adrenaline kicks in and it's like, I've got to get this done. I've got to make this deadline. And then we wouldn't do it if there wasn't a payoff. And by payoff, I mean, it can be that sense of relief that, okay, I finally got it done. So it's no longer hanging over my head or on my shoulders. But for some of us, that adrenaline and that sense of challenge of getting that thing done and then you finally get it done and then you tick it off and it's like, yes. It gives us a little dopamine rush. And dopamine is that brain chemical that is associated with addiction, with craving, with pleasure. You know, we used to call it the reward center because when that dopamine hit this brain center, it gave us that feeling of accomplishment and reward. And that can be, as Margareta says, highly addictive. But my thing is that really how you want to live your life? Because what I noticed for myself was when I am in grind mode, it means I'm putting so much energy in that it takes away from the energy that I could be spending on the things that bring me a sense of flow and fulfillment. And so the solution, I believe, is there are several things. The first one is to really honor your energy type. Now, for me, I've recommended everyone here, if you've listened to me ever, then you've heard me talk about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine and theory and the 5 Institute founded by Nick Haynes. And he and his partner Matthew run a bunch of group coaching and stuff for the vitality test. So I'm going to type it in here. Go and, don't do it right now, stay on live with me, but you can go and take the vitality test. The vitality test is free and it's a questionnaire you take online in just a few minutes to determine which of these 5 elements, wood, water, air, fire, metal, which of those are your dominant influence? Because the energy type that you are will tell you a lot about what makes you naturally brilliant, but what also might set you up for stress or breakdowns. And if you know what your energy type is and you start to honor it, you will find yourself more in a state of flow. Now again, flow, ease, grace, positivity, optimism, these are the values that I hold highest. These are the things that are on the top of my list in terms of this diamond life design thing. So I know that if I want to live a life where I'm in the best mental, physical, emotional, spiritual state so that I can fulfill all of the various roles and responsibilities that I have and get all these creative projects done and work with all of my amazing clients around the world, then I have to protect my energy. I could keep doing things with that procrastination and that grind mode as many Americans do, but at what cost? So I want you to really kind of look at your life and say, is this costing me anywhere? Because this friend of mine who came to me, who's very intelligent, who knows this stuff, and yet she was in burnout and had to like stop everything. So when you think about it, when people tell me like they know that meditation or yoga or going for a walk will like renew them and give them, more sourced energy, and yet they don't do it, I'm like, that little 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute break can provide longevity and sustainability that lasts. And yet we don't do it. We'd rather wait till we break down, where then we have to take a month, 2 months. Some people are taking 6 months off when they hit burnout. So I'm wondering, are there any behaviors that might be costing you your energy and your flow? In Helena's video today, she was like, it's like abuse. We can't abuse the body. And I think of it more in terms of, it is abuse, but I think of it more in terms of respect and honor. Like, I have an intense will and ambition to do stuff. And that's my spirit, I believe. I think it's my higher self, my soul, that's like come to this life with a serious mission. Hey, Sinitra, welcome to the party. So my soul is what is fueling my passion. But if I do that without honoring the fact that this vehicle I was given, this gift of life, I have to honor my body and my energy. And there are different ways to do it. I'm going to get into the solutions now, but I'm going to read a few of your comments. So Aida says, Ayurveda, yes, it's a wonderful system of healing and healing, diagnosis and healing that will help you respect your body and bounce back. So little tea here. Hello, Rosie. Good to have you here. So Tony says he hates procrastinating, but somehow there's a part of you that needs that mad rush of adrenaline with regard to some projects, especially related to writing, which you say you love, Tony. So Tony says he loves writing, but nevertheless, sometimes things take up, you'll get to up to the wire, and it's that last minute adrenaline that kicks in. And so it's great that you like have that awareness, Tony. So the question is, are you okay living like that? And does it at any point or in any other area of your life have a cost that may be small now, but when added up might be preventing you from living the full, fulfilled life that you really, really want? And so when I say honoring our energy and going to find out which of your energies is your dominant influence, like I know that as a wood type in the 5-element system, if I am too rigid, like I don't know what kind of a tree. I don't know my trees, oak tree, I don't know, some really rigid and strong, and I'm just going to, I run the risk of snapping and breaking. But if I can become more flexible like the bamboo, then I'm honoring the fact that, I have this woody nature. And it really requires that I check in. And to this point about what somebody else brought up with us entrepreneurs is, it's everywhere in life, but we have a tendency to look at what everybody else is doing or to look at what the marketplace is doing. And we feel this sense of, well, I got to do that too. I got to do that. I should be doing that. I should be doing that. And so one of the solutions that I want to bring to our discussion is when you start to feel a sense of duty, obligation, or that shoulding, I want you to ask, is it true? And according to whom? Because when Helena said that she really looked at, feeling this sense of, I need to be doing more, when she really looked at, well, wait, according to whom? Like, this isn't my value system. So I want you to really get clear on what are your values. And I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. So your values really tell what you stand for. And by taking a stand and deciding to live your life in alignment with your values, it allows you to create better boundaries. And sometimes that means saying no to certain projects. Quiet as it's kept, you know what I'm saying? So the other thing about your energy is I am a huge, huge novelty lover. I don't know if you could pick up on that. And as a creative type, I get super excited when I get to spend time with a client or I'm working on my own projects and I get to be in that brainstorming mode, dreaming up new projects and new ideas. You know, I had a call earlier today with the lovely Helena Philipson, and we were both talking about this need for stillness and a need. We're feeling this need, not in a bad sense, but this message from a higher place that was saying, you need to chill out and be in the flow. And the way I kind of verbalized it is I really believe that we have an opportunity to align ourselves with a higher state of mind, a higher consciousness, God, spirit, love, source, whatever you want to call it. I believe that we have an opportunity to get out of the ego rat race and align our life with a higher state of being. And when you do that, you've probably noticed in your life that sometimes things happen, people show up, opportunities show up. It's almost like our prayers get answered, but it wasn't because we were begging. We just sort of were in the flow. And if we're quiet enough to notice it, we notice this sense of inspired synchronicities. And in the type of like spiritual teaching that I do, there's this concept of not taking action unless it's inspired action. And so Helena and I had a really great laugh today about inspiration, because if you look at the etymological root of inspiration, it comes from the Latin, it comes from in spiritus. And this in spirit, this inspiration means it's coming from a divine place. And I said, you know, I don't want to take any action unless it's inspired action. But all of my programming is all about do, achieve, can't be idle, gotta be hustling, gotta be on your grind. So to make a shift like that requires a fairly decent amount of practice and faith. And again, this comes back to who you say you are and what you really value. Do you believe that you are a child of God or a child of the divine? You know, for my Christians out there, you know, somebody was quoting a scripture to me. Don't let me get it wrong. Anyway, it's something, one of those proverbs. I will trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not unto my own understanding. You know, has anyone ever heard that? In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. So for these people who say that that is their spiritual, that's my spiritual belief, I'm like, how come your life ain't showing up like that? So if we really believe that we're connected to the divine, we're a child of the divine, that our steps could be ordered by the Lord, then there comes a moment where you have to say, I will wait, and I will be quiet and still until I am truly inspired. So as Helena and I were talking about this, and we're just like kind of laughing like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be still. The message that came to me was, Andrea, I want you to do nothing unless it's inspired action. And I was kind of wrestling in my mind. It was like, even if you're just laying on the couch in meditation for the next 24 hours, you are not to do any busy work. What? Now, how do you do that when you have all this to-do list? I got employees. I'm interviewing for new talent to come on Team Pennington. And it was like, no, if you really trust the flow, then you will be still, leave space and silence until that inspiration comes. And then when you take action, it's not forced. You'll still feel that sense of adrenaline. For most of us, we do feel that, that excitement, that passion that somebody wrote. It was like, hey, I want to do this. But it's not going against the grain, which puts us at risk of burning out or breaking down. And so at the end of our call, we were just like, yeah, okay, girl, I'm here for you. I'm supporting you. Just go be in your flow. Just be in quiet mode. And then we started talking about the real self-love movement. She's like, oh, right, this is on my list to talk to you about. We'll talk about it when we get together next. I said, okay, what's your idea? And boom, we were inspired. Spirit hit me. Oh my gosh. The two of us went on. And she said, so Andrea, take your time, be in the quietness and the flow. And when you are in spiritus, and then we just sort of chuckled. But as we started talking about the real self-love movement, boom, it was on. I don't know how many of you have heard of the real self-love movement yet. It is something that has been bubbling and bubbling and bubbling in my consciousness when I finished this book, I Love You, Me. And the idea is many of the people you hear me talk about, many of the experts that you've seen me interview and people I've quoted in the book, we're getting together a group of experts to lead this community in embodying, embracing, and expressing real self-love. And I really feel like one of the things that happens for us when we start to recognize that I have got to love myself unconditionally, then I need help. Because the reality is that old programming and those old paradigms that we've lived for so long can be very comfortable, even if they're uncomfortable. And they can also be very tempting to fall back into when stepping into the unknown is scary. And this idea of leaving your family of origin, and saying, no, I'm going to go and live my truth. I know some of you on here have talked to me personally about you're at a crisis point because you're recognizing that you need to change direction in life and to take a step into creating a new life for yourself, whether that's choosing a new career, leaving a relationship, leaving a state. When you're leaving whatever state of being that is, what happens to the people you leave behind? Now, they're either supporting you and saying, hey, honey, we are here. We are encouraging you. And sometimes they don't like it. Some people don't want to see you move on because that leaves a hole for them. And they're not ready to fill that hole with something wholesome. They want you back in it. And so I know that when we step into a new expression of our real self, our authentic self, when we decide to honor our voice, our true desires, our values, and decide we don't want to live with regrets. Because think of it. How many of you were in bad jobs, bad relationships, you've been wanting to move but never moved. And now as the years go on, you're feeling that sense of regret. And if you died tomorrow, would you be dying with regrets? Now, I know that that is a depressing question to ask. But it's about getting real with yourself and really saying, what is it going to take for me to break free? Now, in my opinion, I've had the great blessing and opportunity to connect with some of the world's greatest meditators, monks, shamans, curanderos, teachers, to help me when I was on that journey of really breaking out into living my authentic self. And so I want to pay it forward. I want to bring these people to you so that you can learn from them and you can be supported in this nurturing community. And so that's what the Real Self-Love movement is about. It's free, by the way. Did I say that? I should have started with that, right? The Real Self-Love movement is free. And so my vision is really to provide you with the loving support that you need in a community format so that you can learn. I want us to learn this new stuff, but then have the ability to put it into practice. So getting involved in projects where you're supporting other people or doing things for charity or coming to a live event where you can feel the energy. Because when you get in a room with us, I know many of you have been to my live events. it's transformational. Like we get that energy together and we can have this sort of transmission effect where we're activating your superpowers. And that sounds deep and crazy kind of coming out of my mouth, but I know it's real. And so once we got started, oh, Lord have mercy, Helena and I couldn't stop. And it was like, it's inspiration. And I was like, but wait a minute. Can I really? Can I? Should I? And so when I look at what is true for me and how I want to live my life, I organize everything I do around that. So we talked about this idea about vision. And if you could wave a magic wand and put yourself in the most resourceful state. I think what Vaughn said, it's like being balanced and refueled. If you were in your most resourceful state, that state of flow and bliss, what would you be doing? Who would you be with? Where would you be? If we had a magic wand, I mean, I want to bring in the element of magic, ding, so that you get out of the limited thinking. Just play along. And if you did that, and you got this vision for yourself, then coming back to the 3 F's, because I got to wrap this up. The 3 F's. One of them is focus. One of the F's is focus. You keep your focus on that vision. So a lot of people do vision boards. We do vision boards version 5.0. It's like really in the Diamond Life Design thing, it's like really getting a clear vision of what you would be doing in each of those roles of your life, but also the feelings, the emotions, the experience you would have, and getting clear on that. Because you always keep your eye on the prize. You always keep focused on the vision. Because then it's much easier for you to create those boundaries. Because when the vision is aligned with your values and someone steps in and has a request, if that request, number one, doesn't line up with my values, you're instantly out. If that request aligns with my values, but puts me at risk of not being able to fulfill my vision, like it distracts me, I have to say no. Or I have to say not now. And so I have allowed honoring my vision, honoring my focus. That's how I get so much done. Because as a novelty lover, back in the day, I would get distracted. I would talk about a new project. I get a quarter of the way through, and then I'd drop it. Because I'd be on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And then I would find myself feeling that frustration and regret. And after enough of those, patterns, I recognized, what is the pattern here? And how do I interrupt it? And so I organize my day, my week, and my life according to and in honor of my life force energy and my personality and temperament. That's why I give you these assessments so that you can go and find out, objectively, or you write down, like, really, what is truly me versus what's imposed on me by others? And how do I honor that? Then you organize your day, your week, and your life according to that. So today is Monday, and to best honor my life force energy, this is my writing day, where I get to be creative and write, including writing up ideas and plans for things in the future. But it's a free-flowing writing day. And it allows me to do research if I want to do research. I can do whatever I need to on this Monday. Because generally from the weekend, I've refueled, I've had some play and some rest, and I'm like bubbling with creativity. So I don't take client meetings on Mondays. Not that I don't love y'all, but I don't want to give you all my best stuff when I still need it, because I'm still a client of my own branding agency. So as much as I help other people publish books and write their TED Talks and build their business, I still have a part of me that wants to write and teach and express. So that's my Monday. So have you noticed other things about your energy and your flow that you're starting to honor? I'm going to leave that for you. Have a sip of tea. As Vaughn says, one must also understand seasons. A time to work, a time to rest, a time to be still, and a time to move. Absolutely. Tony says inspiration and aspiration, they feed each other. Right. Salut, Cécile. Sorry, I know you posted a while back. I've been on a rant. That's the other thing you guys get on a Monday. I'm all fueled up. So I'm like going at it. Karen, if you've worked so much with yourself, is it then not possible that you cannot move further forward before you start changing things yourself? Example, connecting to your higher self. I don't know if I understand that. If you've worked so much with yourself, is it then not possible that you can't move further forward before you start changing things yourself? Example, connecting to your higher self. Well, Karen, I don't fully understand your question, so you can type a little bit more. But what I would say is you're never done. I mean, I remember having a conversation with Sienna. This was like a year and a half ago. So I guess she was just 10, maybe 9. And I was talking about how I've worked so much on myself and I've made some great progress and I'm doing all these cool things, but I'm not done. And she was like, she kind of looked at me, kind of matter of fact, kind of like, duh. And she's like, well, yeah, Mom, I mean, until you become a Buddha, there's still work to do. So I don't know exactly where you're going with that, Karen, but I feel that if for those of us that are on this path where we do want to better ourselves and our expression of life, it requires that we tap into that higher self that you're talking about, because that for me that's my ideal. So, in that TED talk that I gave in Monaco, and people were asking, how do you become who you really are? And it's about going within. So rather than looking to other people and comparing, well, I'm not like them, but I want to be like them, or a societal standard or a religious standard or your family standard, it's going within and really tapping into your highest self to say, who am I and what am I supposed to be doing in this life? Because that's when the new path of change, whatever it is you're changing, working on yourself, I believe that that's what will lead you to that sense of feeling like you're in more flow. And so I will leave you with these last kind of ideas, and that is that if you find that you're sabotaging yourself, if you really look at what am I going to be motivated by? One of the questions for me was I had to ask myself, am I motivated by pain or pleasure? That working under pressure, that procrastination, that need for adrenaline, because I would then be drained later. I don't want to be motivated by pain anymore. I want to be full of energy and flow so that I can fulfill all of my commitments. And so when I said there are 3 F's, it's focus, so staying focused on your vision, which is in alignment with your values. For me, the other one is flow. Find out what brings you that sense of flow. Can it give you, what can you do to refuel? Now, Rob, I don't know if you're still here. He mentioned Drea because he knew me when. Oh gosh, there you are, Rob. I was just saying that, there was a moment where I realized why I was so depressed. Working at Discovery Channel and doing all this TV stuff. One of the things that happened when I was the news anchor was almost every day I was reporting on how vitamins could prolong longevity and could cut down on stress hormones. And I was reporting on the news how positive emotion could lower stress hormones and blood pressure. It's why comedy movies or people who read a joke a day can actually boost their immune system. Like I was reading and reporting to the world, or at least Americans, on the news every week, all of these studies. And I'm thinking, there's something to this. And yet, when I looked at my own life and why I was so depressed, it was my friend Nidal. I don't know if you remember him, Rob, but my dear friend Nidal Alice, who was my COO at the time. I was miserable. And he said, hey, how much have you been singing? And I was like, huh, what? And literally, he was like, I noticed that when you sing, you're in a better mood. I mean, I could tell by the way he was saying it. He didn't want to call me out and talk about what a crabby, nasty, snotty, no. But he was like, I can tell you're better. And when I had that big hitting of rock bottom going through the dark night of the soul, in the vision that I got from the divine, I was singing professionally, which I was like, huh? What? And I was doing healing work with my hands and living on the French Riviera. And everything in that vision came true. So when I came out of that vision, I ended up starting a record label because, of course, I couldn't do anything halfway. But it put me in this state of flow. So what are the things that you do that put you in a state of flow? And it doesn't have to become your full-time profession. The other thing that I noticed in my own life was I never left room for play. I was so aggressive and attached to achievement and getting stuff done that I didn't have the openness and the ease to just play. Now, play for you, maybe, I don't know, climbing mountains, bungee jumping, who knows what that is for you. You don't even want to know. I'm not even going to tell you what play is for me. But now I honor it. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is my playtime. Friday especially, because at least my daughter's usually at school. So Friday is really mommy's playtime. I get to do whatever I want. Saturday and Sunday, it's family. So we might be playing together or traveling or whatever. Or doing whatever we consider fun. And then Mondays, as I said, is my writing day. So Tuesday is my client coaching day because I know I can mobilize my energy and be fully present for you. I mean, I'm helping people with huge businesses. I was talking to one of the clients I worked with a couple of years ago, and the client engagement project was really serious. And the work that we did allowed them to sell their company for a multiple way above what they knew. And it was because of the media work we did. So I'm working with people who have a lot at stake. Obviously, I don't come cheap. So I want to be fully present. So I block out my time that way. And so when you start to set these boundaries, live in alignment with your values, you can go from confusion to clarity. You can go from overwhelm to peaceful productivity. I want you to get from that sense of frustration to fulfillment. And that is the third F, fulfillment. Because if you're just ticking off boxes to say you've done it and you wear it as a badge of honor, oh, I pulled an all-nighter, does that really leave you feeling fulfilled? Because if I take it back to what my mom shared about that sense of fulfillment, that if she met her maker, she knew she would hear job well done. I want to feel like I have fulfilled the various roles and expectations that I had, that the relationships that I'm in are truly fulfilling. Because all the book publishing and being on TV and representing other people's brands, that stuff don't mean nothing if at my heart and soul I'm not in full alignment. And yes, Halamai, you've taught me a lot about play. Yes, time for a horseback ride. Send us a picture. Are you still in beautiful Cyprus? Oh, I can't wait to visit. So anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. I want you to get to a place where you're going away from self-doubt and really into self-confidence. And yeah, I want you to be able to look over your life and give yourself a pat on the back, praise, do a little happy dance, and really feel like you're doing what it is you said you were going to do. So if this has been interesting at all to you, I don't know when the next Rhea concert is, Rob, but I will say that now that I have my voice back, I tell you, every time I lose my voice and I get it back, I'm just like so grateful. I do want to sing. I'm playing with that. I'm open. I will wait until the inspiritus arrives when I am inspired. But since I need to jump off now, I wanted to share one last thing, and that is for any of you who might want to create what we call a personal success mantra. I want you to be able to change the paradigms so that's really lining up your mental mindset for success. I'm going to put it in here. Success mantra. Go here. Some of you heard me talk about the Diamond Life Design. If you would like to find out how that works, if you might want to join us in this little community, I will put that link in here too as soon as I find it. Where is it? I'm looking. And then I am going to disappear and I will connect with you again. That last one was Diamond Life Design. And that's the framework for creating an epic life of no regrets. So listen, my friends, I have just nothing but love for you. And that is why I get so passionate and a little bit crazy about sharing and teaching, because I have been down the road of pain and misery plenty of times. And I've been to the mountaintop. And sometimes it ain't what they told you was. So I want to help you achieve that life of no regrets as well. And yes, eventually, Trevor, I will sing I Love You Me, which is the song that I wrote. But yeah, that I really gotta be on point. I promise I will do it though. I just promised that on a Facebook Live. Well, I will keep my word. So my friends, have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your Monday. Have a fabulous week. It is my intention to connect with you again this week. I'm trying to get back into the flow of doing Facebook Live a couple times a week because I really do miss it. I miss connecting with you. I miss the sense of energy that we share with people around the world. So if you have enjoyed this, please share this with anyone else that you know. Give it lots of likes and hearts and all that good stuff so that Facebook will keep it in your feed so that you see. And yeah, that's it, my friends. Just know that I'm sending you tons of love from snowy France. Yeah, and if you're on Instagram, I'll post the video of the snow. Crazy! Much love, my friends. Bye.